Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the November edition of the Lebanon Redevelopment Commission. We'll begin this meeting as we do with each meeting and the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
All right. Thank you, folks, for that. And we have 100% attendance tonight, so that makes roll call fairly easy. Approval of the minutes. We are looking at 10:14 minutes, so our October minutes. If anyone has any comments on that, or I would entertain a motion.
If the minutes are accepted as presented.
Motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All those in favor, please signify with an aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. That does carry. Perfect. Moving on, I don't see any old business on our agenda, so we'll move up to our single new business agenda item. And as you guys recall, last year, I believe there was a new statutory requirement that came in requiring redevelopment commissions to adopt a spending plan. So I think Mr. Bontrager has a little bit of information for us for the 2026 spending plan.
Good evening, commission members. Thank you, Mr. Coots. Yes, as he suggested, this is a new requirement. This will be our second year to approve a spending plan. This is a new requirement that you are required to approve and then submit to the DLGF spending plan. This is a little bit different than like how the council goes through their budget process. They have to have anticipated revenue projections and they base the budget off of those numbers. This doesn't have that same tie-in to those revenue projections. This is more just you create almost like an umbrella spending plan based on, in some cases, anticipated expenditures. In other cases, it's really just a placeholder number that you operate under as expenditures occur throughout the year. One thing to keep in mind, even though you may set a spending plan number, if there is something that comes up and you need to exceed that number, you're able to, but you first have to revise and reapprove the spending plan and resubmit it to the state in order to be able to exceed those numbers. So just if they want to pull the screen up here, this is actually the spending plan that you guys approved last year, just as a reminder. So you can see the categories that we had in the spending plan: debt service and bond proceeds. These are based on all of your bond payments that are due each year. The one that was really just a placeholder number is the capital expenditures. We actually put 20 million in there last year. That was a really high number. I don't think anybody ever intended to actually spend that on capital expenditures. And here in a second, I'll show you a real quick rough summary I put together. You can see we didn't come anywhere close to that number. Professional expenses, that's anything from legal, financial advisor, professional services like engineering, design, those fall into that number. Grants, contributions, primarily our facade grant program, but there are other grants that fall into that number. Educational and training programs is the other big number you see here, and that is primarily the workforce coordinator for the schools. And then you'll see that here in a moment. So let me switch up here. This is very rough because I just put it together today with numbers given to me by Clerk Treasurer's office. Thank you, Tanya. So this is a quick chart showing the approved 2025 spending plan amounts on the left, and then the current expenditure amounts on the right. So you can see there, debt service payments are primarily complete for the year. Same with the bond proceeds. Capital expenditures, like I said, we put in 20 million. Right now, there's $440,000 that's been spent. That entire number is the RDC's contribution to the lift station for the business park. That was paid this year. Let's see. Professional expenses, again, $840,000 were approved in the spending plan. We're at about $425,000 right now. Again, primary legal, financial advisor, but there are some other design fees in there for Christopher Burke and a couple other small fees like for title work and stuff like that. Grants and contributions. I put in there the contribution to the Heart of Lebanon because I wasn't sure which other category it went into. But then there is one facade grant that was paid out this year. And so that's the remainder of that balance there. And again, educational and training programs, that is entirely the Lebanon Schools Workforce Coordinator amount. And then other anticipated expenses, I just put in there the cost for the utilities for 124, 126 North Lebanon Street that we paid while the RDC owned that building. So that's a quick summary of where we're at this year. You see we're under all of those caps. That's why we hadn't come back to you to amend the 2025 spending plan, and we don't expect to exceed any of those amounts for the remainder of the year. And so now, finally, we'll go back to the proposed 2026 spending plan. This was initially put together by Baker Tilly. We did review it with them last week and made a few changes. And this is what we're presenting to you this evening. And so you will see here, again, the very similar categories. The first one, debt service, 7.7 million. So that number has increased because we got some additional debt service. The bond proceeds number is very similar to what it was last year. One thing we did change, and this could be an item for discussion, we decreased the capital expenditures line from 20 to 10. Frankly, again, we don't have any anticipated significant capital expenditures this year. That number could stay at 10, so we have plenty of flexibility on expenditures without having to amend the plan. Frankly, it could also decrease if it wanted to. And if we really have a huge expenditure come in, we can always come back and amend the plan. But that's where we set it right now, just for discussion purposes. Professional expenses, we've increased that one slightly, just a year-over-year expense increases. Grants and contributions, we did double this year. That's primarily because we're considering some other programs. Nothing really to discuss yet because it's not really put together yet, but there's some things, some ideas that are being worked on that may come to pass this year. So we just wanted to make sure there was room within that grants and contributions lines to be able to do those things without having to amend the plan, without making a significant change to these numbers. Everything else, I think, down the line should stay the same. So really, the big changes were in the capital expenditures line and in the grants and contributions line. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions or discuss any of those items.
One, Ben, on the grant program, I think, don't we do 250,000 every year for facade?
So again, just kind of.
I know we roll over.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's why the number was 500 last year, because it was really just to accommodate if there was a larger facade grant that came in, you do have the ability to go above the 250 because it's really 1.25 over 5 years. As opposed to 250 per year. So that's why we had some flexibility in there last year in case a larger facade grant came in. We went ahead and doubled it this year, but just because there's some other programs other than the facade program that are also in the works that may come to you sometime this year for consideration. So we did just go ahead and increase that number to accommodate those if they come to pass.
Other questions from the commission?
What is the process of, if you were to have to amend it, I mean, what's that look like? Just coming back to another meeting and amending it and then, okay.
It's really the same thing we're doing now, just repeated. We bring a new spreadsheet like this back to you with the numbers revised. You guys approve it just like you're going to do tonight for this one, and then it gets resubmitted to the DLGF.
And these, I mean, fiscally constrained or not, I mean, this is just what we think we might be spending.
Yeah, this really kind of sets the umbrella under which you operate in essence.
Awesome. Any other questions?
I guess no question per se. I appreciate this, Ben. Thank you very much. And, we're down 8 million in projection, I think, from 25. Commissioners, I would just put out there for thought, it's a bit of an unknown going into 26. If you followed the Senate Enrollment Act 1, which is a tax cut, almost every tax governing entity in the state, from schools to cities and towns, fire, local law enforcement, have had to take some real adjustments. This is a projected plan. I know we're not approving necessarily an expenditure budget, but I do think it would be prudent if we kept in mind that while financially we're doing very well, and we appreciate everyone's effort towards that. And I think the monies that we've spent to date have been monies well invested in our community. I just think it's prudent if we have that in the back of our mind. We're approving basically 60 days out for starting in January of 26. I just to be quite honest, a lot of the discussion I've heard in the last 40 to 60 days around the state has been concerned about how the impact of the Senate Enrolled Act 1 will have on tax entities. I think some of you have heard similar stories. I'm sure our city folks have heard that as well. I don't know how that impacts this. I'm very pleased that, you were a little more realistic in your 10 million versus 20 million, and your actuals look like they're going to be a little under $500,000. So that gives us a buffer, but I'll go back. Mr. Park said we can come back at any time if I'm not mistaken. And I think Tanya verified that. And so, again, I don't really have a recommendation other than I think we do need to be a little more cognizant of everything from grant allocation to, we got to pay our bills. There's no doubt. And we've got to pay all of those things that are high market and high end items. But I'm going to be a little more concerned about tightening our giveaways at the same time. And that's always a tough act. We're really moving forward. I'm so pleased with how the city's moved forward. I believe this commission has been a very big instigator in economic development. I'm proud to be a part of this group, but I just wanted to make that, I think everybody's aware, so I'm probably speaking to the choir, unfortunately. So I don't know how that impacts this. I don't think it does in looking at it because you did cut. I was going to ask for a 10% cut in projection, but you've cut way below that from last year. So it's more in the neighborhood of almost a 28.
Yeah, I think the good thing, Dr. Taylor, is we do have pretty good projections from Baker Tilly on what revenue is going to look like for next year. And we're really not being impacted, at least next year, significantly by SEA 1. So that's a good thing. 2, and again, like I talked about, this isn't necessarily tied to those revenue projections, and there's certainly no commitments to spend any of this money, really. Of course, other than debt service, we probably should go ahead and pay the bills that we know are coming in. But that being said, if there's concern with even putting 10 million, like I said, 10 million in capital expenditures, I have no intention of spending $10 million unless something we're not thinking of right now comes up. So that number could very easily get smaller if that makes you feel better. At the same time, I know you talked about maybe there's some other things where there are going to be cuts. You mentioned police and fire capital or operating expenses. We've got zero in it right now. We haven't really talked about what that looks like if the RDC participates in some of those other categories. But there's certainly a lot of flexibility here. And again, we're really setting the umbrella under which we operate. So if we recognize revenues are decreasing, we're certainly not going to be planning to spend $10 million in capital expenditures.
And thank you, Ben. I'm not recommending that we don't approve this evening. I think the cuts, you've made some realistic cuts. You say an umbrella. I think the umbrella is good, but it's going to be a rainstorm like we've not seen. I'm not worried about 26. I am worried about 27. That seems to be when most of the numbers are going to crunch into a little more difficult time. And if there's a need for us to help some of our local tax entities like law enforcement or fire or schools, we help schools already. I just want to have that flexibility. And you said that just now, and I appreciate you using those terms, that we do have the flexibility to reshift, redirect, reprioritize. We've still got to pay our bills. We know that. But the ability that the commission has under legal guidance and under guidance from the city, that's really what I wanted to bring to the table, that we maintain that flexibility. So again, it may not, let's hope 26 is another great year for us, but and things could change. We got both a short session coming up and we've got a special session coming up. So we can flip a coin. I just brought it up. I've heard it a lot in traveling around the state, and I just wanted to bring that commission, and I think everybody concurs.
I think the other thing to keep in mind, my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm looking at Rob now, is the way SEA 1 is structured, existing TIF districts with existing debt are not impacted by that. They're exempted from those changes. So that helps us in most of our TIF district allocation areas because there is existing debt on the books there.
And I guess I'm more concerned about our ability to help as we've done and to promote. And, I think, again, I feel very good about what we've done, everything from facade grant to supporting local entities to, how we've helped Heart of Lebanon kind of thing. And so I think it's all been a good return of investment. I just want to make sure we've got the investment if we need it down the road when we have to rethink some issues or something. Who knows? Somebody could come to us in 90 days and we all go, damn, we need the help.
I will say too, in preparing this plan, I had a meeting with Ben as well as Baker Tilly, and the mayor was an active participant as well. So we kind of talked through some of those things that they've seen on the horizon, both obviously with the city of Lebanon, but outside as well with Baker Tilly. And they kind of echoed the sentiments of, 26 is, fine. 27, 28 is where the bigger impacts come in. And then specifically what may change with some of the lit funding after SEA 1. So those were all topics of conversation. And I think, the partnership with mayor on the city side and the redevelopment commission side here was pretty strong. It's better than we had in the past. So that was encouraging to me, but absolutely understand your thoughts there. So
I got a follow-up question. We talked about the umbrella. Is it, if any one of those lines changes, or is that the total umbrella amount and you could reallocate from one to the other or not?
No, yeah, each one of those lines is set. So if, for example, we end up spending more than $950,000 in professional expenses, we will have to amend the spending plan. Yeah.
And it's as simple as at a regular meeting, we would make the amendment, and then Tanya with the clerk treasurer's office would update,
That's
right?
actually just an extra, an extra. I see it as a way of us saying that we are capping certain.
Yeah,
certain
each
things
one of
and-
those categories are
And
capped
would
at
come
that
back
amount.
to this table to, if we needed that,
Right.
to adjust, or you needed to adjust. Yes.
Absolutely. Good deal. Any other questions, comments from the commission? So then I would, we don't need to read anything into the record, right? Okay, perfect. So I would entertain a motion then.
That the 2026 RDC spending plan as presented.
Got a motion to accept. Do we have a second? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify with an aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. That motion does carry. Thank you very much for a good conversation on that and getting that in the books for us. I don't see any other new business items, so that will move us forward to our claims. Speaking of paying our bills, I would entertain a motion on our claims. Motion to pay the claims. Do we have a second?
Second.
We got a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify with an aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. That does carry. And to the favorite of the evening, we have a motion to adjourn. Do we? And a second. All those in favor, please signify with an aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. We are adjourned. We will see you potentially in December.